Hello and welcome to the wrap up where I see that we have oh no, we have some viewers. Okay, that was a lie by the YouTube's dirty algorithm. The Toronto Raptors lose 119-103 to the Utah Jazz. If you're here right now with us, you're a real fan. So we appreciate your patience with the team, your dedication, your just really ability to root for a really bad, sad product. With me today is Kyle Brickman from Raptors Republic. I'm Oren Weisfeld. We'll also have Jamar Hinds joining us on the show from Raptors Republic very shortly. Yeah, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions or comments for us that you want us to pin, just send us a super chat and we'll get to it that way. But your Toronto Raptors just laid a real big egg on the second night of their road trip. They're now 0-2 on this 6-game road trip. Kyle, I'll hand it over to you. I don't know if you have any single impressions from a game where nothing really stood out positively, but if you do, what are they?
No, I don't know if there's one thing I can point to. I will say it's just like heartbreaking the way this team loses. It seems like every single game is well within reach. Like it's not even one of those where you can turn it off after the second quarter type thing, go for a walk. Like it's always like a
Yeah.
close game. And it feels like I don't know if they were like this one slipped away because I don't know if they ever really had a great grasp on a win, but it felt like the Raptors were very competitive for a stretch, and things as they seem to have been going this past 5-game slide or so, things just kind of fall apart on them.
Yeah. I do think if there has been a game where it felt untenable pretty early, it was this one, just because like the type of shots that the Raptors defense is giving up right now, especially when they're small, when they don't have a center on the floor, they're just terrible. It's either corner threes or shots right at the rim. And, even if like at the beginning of the game they were kind of letting Rudy Gobert get to the rim, trapping pick and rolls and kind of taking away passing lanes, and he was scoring. Like at no point did they have any solution for the Jazz. This game did feel like, okay, eventually they're just going to start hitting these corner threes, whatever it be. And yeah, I mean, Raptors really really bad. But let's talk about the defense. What have you seen, if there's anything that like you can attribute for this tailspin? Because basically the defense has just gotten worse and worse as the season has gone along.
Yeah, it's tough because I'm sure part of this is that other teams are shooting just ridiculous numbers, and I know the Raptors are giving up good shots, open shots, but it has to be at least partially luck that the teams are hitting threes, even wide open corner threes at such a high rate. But this isn't a bad matchup for the Raptors because of Gobert. I think if people are fans of the league in general will remember that last playoffs, the Clippers without Kawhi beat the Jazz by going small and playing Batum at center. Batum, who is smaller and less of a rim protector than Siakam is, or even Barnes for that matter. So it's hard to just say this was a tough matchup for the Raptors. They don't have a big center, etc. There's something more than just not having a big center. If the Clippers could have figured out, granted they were a better team than the Raptors are, but the Clippers seem to figure it out going small. So what is the difference here?
No, I think that's a good point. Like there are game plans that, yeah, can take away Rudy and take him out of the paint, and the Raptors haven't really been able to figure anything out like that. And I think a lot of it is just like the Clippers' strategy in those series was like catch and go, kind of like drive, throw it out, and the Raptors don't play like that. They slow it down a lot. They'll post up. They'll play like a high low game, and you're right. That didn't really work against Rudy tonight, but I think we should get to Pascal Siakam, who, as people are noting on Twitter, scored 4 points, as many points as turnovers on the night. 0 for 4 from three, 2 of 14 from the field goal percentage, and this kind of ties into OG Anunoby being out for at least now and maybe the foreseeable future. Nurse basically said that it's unclear how long till he'll be back with a hip pointer. So, I mean, that obviously means that someone's going to have to step up, and you would assume Siakam would be the guy to kind of step up. He's traditionally killed the Jazz and done well on the West Coast. What's the bigger worry for you for Siakam, offense or defense?
It's hard to say. I think a lot of these guys, when we were talking this the other night in this show, a lot of these guys who are, come up as traditionally really hardworking, defensive-minded players and then develop an offensive game, they sometimes lose that identity. Like even Kawhi has lost a bit of his defensive presence as he became more of an offensive threat. But with Siakam, his offense is not there, which means that it's time to go back to his basics, which at one point was that he was a great defender. He was flying around everywhere. He was constantly engaged. He never took a playoff. I don't see that anymore. And I know it's tough. I know 2 for 14, that's tough. But there were moments where I was sort of like, I felt like Siakam was taking good shots and shots that he would normally make, and they weren't falling necessarily. Like he had a couple open threes that he missed. Like weird shooting nights like this happen, but I'm more concerned with the lack of intensity defensively because he was that guy for a very long time, and it's shocking, I think, to see him such a departure from that identity.
Yeah. Welcome into the show. We got Jamar from Raptors Republic. Quickly put out the quick recap, and now he's dual tasking tonight. Jamar, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Kind of sucks that this type of a game is the game that I'm making my debut here. Kind of yeesh, but yeah.
I'm so sorry. This is very bad luck. Very bad luck on your part. Just not a whole lot of good things to say about the Raptors, but at least that gives us a good opportunity to just slander our hometown team. So on the subject of Siakam, what stood out to you tonight from him, and what worries you more, whether it's the offense or the defense?
I would say the defense worries me more because there's going to be games where you miss shots. He had some good looks. He had some potential baskets at the rim that just rolled out. I mean, you could shoot you have games where you shoot 2 for 14. I'm not that upset with that. Although one play, and I mentioned it in the quick reaction, did stick out to me, where it's in the third quarter and Donovan Mitchell was on him, and he didn't even really try to go at him in the post. He just passed it out. Now, Fred VanVleet did draw a foul on that play, but it's just that's a type of play where I understand you're struggling scoring, but you should be able to do something with Donovan Mitchell on you. But in terms of defensively, rotations, just lack of anything positive right now at the defensively, I think that's the bigger worry, because that was his calling card when he came into the league, and even as he grew as a scorer, that was always his calling card. So to see him struggle like this on the defensive end kind of rings off a little bit of an alarm, but you're just hoping that he catches that rhythm.
Yeah,
we're so on the same page, by the way, because this is like exactly what I just said right before you hopped on. I wanted to ask both of you. The other night, I said this. Zarar was all over me for it. But is Siakam better than Scottie Barnes right now? Is he a better contributor to the Raptors? Do you feel happier or safer as a Raptors fan with Scottie out there or Siakam?
You want to go first, or should I go first?
You go first.
I mean, I feel like that's unfair because the dude just came back, but obviously when things were running through Scottie more, the team was more in a rhythm. But I mean, just based off what Pascal's been for the last few years, I feel like that's kind of unfair to say, okay, yeah, Scottie's better right now. I'm still in that mode of giving him a little bit of time. How many games does he play? Like 4, 5? I don't know, but I'm still in that mode of giving him a little bit more time. I just feel like that's kind of an unfair question. So I guess I'm not really answering your question, but I'm more of that's more of like an incomplete. Give me like 5 more games, and I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair to ask, because it has been close enough where I could like go back and wonder game to game. But yeah, I'm with you, Jamar. Like, it's just too early after an injury to really say for certain. But there's certainly like you have to just hope that Siakam gets back to his game. But I'll say what Lewis said on this show a few games ago is that, like, regardless of who you want the offense running through necessarily, like, Scottie is that connector. He is the glue guy. So, Pascal has just, like, grown into this role. He's deserved it from things he's done over the years. And Scottie is right now best positioned as a glue guy. He's not, if you give Scottie that number one option tag and those kind of plays, you're gonna see him struggle a lot more, just like Pascal was. So I think, like, the hierarchy is more or less fine. I like Scottie as a guy who's on the periphery, just making, like, these extra plays because it's his first year, right? And it's not like we need to rush him into this. But at the same time, to answer your question, like, who do I feel safer taking a shot? Like, honestly, I feel pretty safe with Scottie. Like,
I'm saying,
as
I
weird
also
as
want
that
to say,
sounds, like, down the line, this is absolutely something the Raptors have to address. And, like,
Yeah.
everything they do has to be based with Scottie in mind more than Siakam to me, like, future. But right now, I'm okay with the offense going through Siakam.
I just want to say, I did say right now, as in this exact moment. So
Yeah.
I think the fact that you guys qualified it with, like, we got to give Siakam more time, that's like an answer in and of itself, in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. And a lot of people brought up what Vivek tweeted about his first rebound coming with less than 5 minutes remaining in the game, and that's just, like, an effort thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you not get a single, like, effort and energy and, like, kind of focus as well? But how do you not get a single rebound that whole game? And, like, that's something else I want to talk about before we kind of get to the benches. Like, these small lineups, like with Siakam guarding fives and Birch off the floor now that they don't have Precious, they just haven't looked very good to me. And I'm a little bit worried now that OG's out that they're going to, even Nurse said before the game, he's going to skew small and kind of play smaller lineups with more shooting. How do you guys feel about kind of going more in on offense than defense?
My concern, even in, like, the Cavs game, and there have been a couple other examples, is that when the other teams are too big for the Raptors, they have to switch OG off of a primary ball handler and have him guard, like, a big, because they just have no other bodies. And that's going to be really, really tough for them to keep going small and keep bringing, like, their better wing defenders off of wings and guards and put them on bigs like that. I don't think that's a viable option going forward defensively. I'm not sure about going all in on offense. It's tough to say. I guess that is, you're indicating, like, we want to see more Svi and, a little bit less. I don't know who is a sacrificed in the, maybe Banton. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Jamar?
If you're going to do that, obviously they're going to have to rebound better, and we just touched on that. But that obviously starts with Pascal not grabbing a single board till like 5 minutes left in the game. Because if you look at Malachi Flynn, he had 6. So, but yeah, if they're going to do that, it has to be in really short spurts. I am not a fan of sacrifice in defense, because if you look over the last, what was this would be like 7 games, because over the last 6 games they've had the worst defensive rating in the league, and I don't know how you could be okay with that and say, okay, let's go even smaller, especially at a time where you don't have OG, who is kind of like your key guy when you're going in small lineups, because he could basically guard every position. So
yeah.
Then on the other side, the spacing is not great. I still would prefer to see them go do the defensive side as a priority as opposed to the offensive side, because at least if you're getting stops, obviously they try to run in transition as much as possible, and that might get things going. Even guys who are not like shooters, maybe if they can find things in transition. So I think everything still starts with the defense, because when they were playing good defense, that's when they were 6-3. It's over the last 7 games where things have really fallen off.
No, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you guys. Like, every time I watched this team this season, I've really preferred the big lineups compared to the small ones, even though the spacing is all kinds of fucked with some of the lineups they play. they get around it with certain ways, dribble handoffs, getting guys going downhill, and they get these offensive rebounds. They just get around it offensively enough, but defensively, like when they play big, they just make so much more sense. When they have at the three either like a Svi or a Trent sized player, like as soon as they skew a little smaller, they get killed on the boards. Like the groups without a traditional center on the floor are getting killed on the boards. They're fouling more when they're smaller. They're giving up more corner threes because they're helping off the corner so much. It's just been really bad. And as crazy as this might sound, like I truly believe this team is desperately missing Precious Achua. Like, yes, his offense leads to like 4 head scratchers a game, and I totally like get that. And those type of plays stick with you more than like him making a clean rotation and the offense having to reset. But his defense has actually been better than advertised in his sophomore season. And I really think when they play always with a big on the floor at all times, it just makes a lot more sense to me. They can keep it a little more simple, switch stuff, not have to double as much. And then rebounding is huge, and those lineups rebound so much better. So yeah, these small lineups are scaring me. So I guess what I'm getting at is like, how worried are we now that OG is out on this road trip?
I'm shaking in my boots, honestly. But I will say, in terms of the big thing, I actually liked Boucher's minutes tonight. My only problem with Boucher is that he's got like too much of a green light. Like if you can like tone that back to like can it be like a yellow or something? Because I actually thought he offered like some pretty good minutes tonight defensively, and he got on the glass well enough. He's long enough to get on the glass. So I think there are ways to work around this OG absence. I just don't think they're necessarily being implemented in full effect just yet.
Jamar, anything to add?
Going back to Achua, he was the one of the guys who would finish the possession for you in terms of getting the rebound, and that was I feel like that was really missed today. Also, we need to. Well, you guys have probably already talked about this in other shows, but a lot of the rebounding problems too is just based on overhelping, leaving shooters open, even though they miss. People are out of place. At what point do they change schemes in terms of that? Like, why is there such a need to overhelp on everybody? Like, even guys that it just makes no sense. They're just sending doubles. Like, what's your take on that?
Can I actually add to that and just say, because to me it doesn't look like the scheme has changed from the beginning of the year, but the defense has gotten worse. So are teams figuring it out? Are teams just shooting better and they already knew what they were doing? Or is it somewhere in between there? Or
I think the scheme has changed a bit. I think like they are sending more pressure than they did at the beginning of the year. I think they played more one-on-one, switch everything defense, and lived with kind of the post ups and whatever. Recently, like at least against Portland, they started trapping all the pick and rolls and taking the ball out of Dame's hand, and that was probably the most aggressive we'd seen them this season. And that was also something Nurse talked about with like Harden and Luka, how he wasn't happy about how aggressive they were. He wishes he was more aggressive with them. So I think that they have gotten more aggressive as the year has gone on. And I actually think that maybe has not been a smart thing. Like I think that these players are really young and inexperienced, and the groups they're playing are new every night because someone new is out with an injury every night. That I don't think they have the experience to play the system that they're being asked to play right now. And like with that being said, maybe these are just the growing pains of eventually they want to have to learn the system. And so you're going to have to just play through these mistakes because this is kind of Nurse's system. But right now, like, it's definitely not looking good.
yeah, just in general, like I think it's a bad sign when like everyone on Twitter, everyone independently of coming on the show, whatever, can all recognize that there's a problem over helping. Like never have Raptors fans been so unanimously in agreement about like the over helping issue.
Yeah. Yeah, let's move on and talk about the Raptors bench. As producer Don Yang, shout out to Don for producing the episode, has put right here. Raptors had 20 bench points. Jazz had 57 tonight. Rudy Gay tied the Raptors bench points on his own. 30-what-year-old Rudy Gay? 30, I don't know, past 35-year-old Rudy Gay. So that's embarrassing. But it's not just this game either, right? Like the Raptors bench has been a problem, even dating back before this road trip, basically to the Cavs game when this 1 and now 6 slides started. And they're just not getting enough scoring off the bench. And it's interesting because we came into the season thinking or talking about how this was a deep team, and it really hasn't proved to be. Now, part of that is injuries for sure, but like, what are your takeaways from the bench? And Goran Dragic still not playing as long as Fred VanVleet is playing. So I mean that's the only real rotation hole you can poke because everyone else who is healthy played tonight. But is it a matter of like Nurse's rotations, or is it a matter of these guys just not playing well enough? Jamar, I'll go to you first.
Well, last year Boucher was so dependable, and it was surprising how dependable he was, whether he was starting or coming off the bench. I remember for a while we were clamoring for him to be starting because he played so well off the bench, and he just hasn't consistently found that scoring rhythm yet. I don't know if that was an anomaly, but it kind of so far it looks like it. But like you said, he was coming off, and he's also coming off an injury. I think the one guy you have to look to for some bench punch would be Svi, Hyluk. He showed a little bit of that because remember a couple of weeks ago, the game in Indiana, the game in New York, he had to start a couple games as well where you saw flashes of that. And then a game like today, you barely noticed he was on the court. So, I mean, he got a decent amount of minutes. It's just I didn't really see him do anything when he was on the court. Like, there's nothing running for him to come off screens and shoot or stuff like that. I don't think he was put in a position to really score all that much. And then Malachi got the most minutes he's gotten all year today. He gave some decent minutes in the first half, in my opinion, and then he just started getting shot happy in the third quarter. I didn't like his minutes in the third quarter. It was just I would have been okay if Nurse took him back out because he wasn't really doing anything and he was just basically digging the hole deeper. Delano, I mean, he's a rookie. How much could you really expect? I would have to go to Mykhailiuk right now to be the guy to give you some sort of bench scoring.
Yeah, I think also like if Siakam is going to take these 14 shots, maybe the best way of setting up the shot hierarchy is that he takes a good amount of those shots in a Siakam plus the bench unit. Because it's so frustrating seeing Siakam out there with people who are at the moment better creators. Like Trent had a great game. I'm more comfortable seeing a VanVleet possession, even like a Barnes high post, like split some guys off of him, have people cutting, let him figure something out. I'm kind of more comfortable with those types of possessions over Siakam right now. But if Siakam is going to take this many shots, it might be best suited with a unit who can't get anything going offensively anyway. And also, yeah, you hit the nail on the head entirely about Boucher. And this is part of the reason people are so frustrated with Boucher is that last year he was like, maybe the one bright spot, especially when we had like Baines and Alex Len briefly dominating the center rotation. And so Boucher became everyone's favorite guy. He was so precocious. And it's been a pretty serious fall from grace. That's a tough place to be in for Chris, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, with Chris, it's frustrating because he kind of like showed some real improvements defensively last season, playing within the scheme, jumping vertically, not fouling as much. Closeouts became more composed, and this season he's gone back to literally all his bad habits, and like he's not getting into an offensive rhythm because he's not playing for long stretches, I think, at a time, and he's not playing for long stretches because a lot of it is just his defense has regressed a lot. And also because some of his shots that he is taking are really out of rhythm and bad ones. But yeah, like I mean, they're missing Precious, Utah, and OG right now. But even if that's the case, the guard play coming off the bench right now, like it's really not dependable. Like Goron maybe deserves some minutes if Flynn and Banton are going to give you like 11 combined points in 39 combined minutes. They're young, and I totally get it, but right now like this team is pretty forward heavy, and it shows in the bench units who just can't score at all.
Can I
But
just
yeah.
say, guys, temper your expectations with Utah. It's the same thing we did with Boucher. He's not like a savior. He's not LeBron. He's not like everyone's like, we're missing Utah. Like every game, it's like we're missing Utah. He's a great player. He's a great contributor, but this isn't like he's not turning around the season when he comes back. He'll give us like, 10 to 20 good minutes a game.
No, for sure. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I like the point you bring up about probably staggering Pascal's minutes, maybe bring him out a little bit earlier in the first and have him, run the second unit a little bit in the second, and that way he won't take away shots from a Scottie, who we've been clamoring for him to be more assertive, an OG when he's back, whenever that is, a Fred. I think that would actually work out pretty well instead of just having, because most of the time it's like, and that's also going back to when it comes to Fred VanVleet's minutes, a lot of times he's having to create with bench guys as well, and that just drives up his minutes. So maybe giving some of those minutes to Pascal will drive down some of Fred's minutes.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. But going back to what you guys were saying earlier, I agree that like at the end of the day, like Siakam's defense is a bigger concern right now. This was his first dud of a game offensively. He just in Portland played really, really well offensively. And I've been actually pretty impressed with his like integration into the offense. It looks pretty good when he's playing beside Barnes. They fit. And Siakam was creating a lot of good looks, even if they weren't falling. So I think his offense will bounce back. But defensively, since he came back, the defense is really what slipped. And he just looks a step slow. And he looks a little like weaker, to be honest, like getting pushed around a lot more. And it doesn't make sense for him to then guard centers if he has maybe lost a little bit of strength. But let's move on to maybe the only positive of the night, the Can-Am Taxman of the night. All right, listeners, listen up. You got to do your taxes. They're coming up, right? Tax season, it's right around the damn corner. And it's one of those years where there was a lot of government spending, with COVID, and maybe you got some government, some Daddy Trudeau cash. And if you did, there's ways to maybe get some of that cash back, or maybe actually not give it back to the government. Either way, there's ways to save money at canamtax.com. That's right. Visit canamtax.com to get your taxes done. But your tax man of the night, I think we would all agree, is Gary Trent Jr., who had a season high 31 points tonight, 5 of 11 from 3, 3 assists. Just was kind of the only reliable Raptor offensively, maybe other than Fred VanVleet, his backcourt mate. And that was kind of the story of the game, was that the guards were getting a lot of good looks, but the forwards couldn't really do anything. Gary Trent Jr., how are you guys feeling good about his contract? Got to feel good about his contract, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I first of all, I want to say I like how you propose the taxes as if like people are on the fence about paying taxes. You're like, come on, guys.
No, it's just people do them alone. People do their taxes by themselves on like these shitty websites where they get back like no money. And it's like, hey, spend a little money to make more money. Maybe.
That's a good point. What frustrates me is I know Trent took the most amount of shots in the team tonight, but I feel like you got a guy shooting 12 for 18. He needs to get more shots up. I'm sorry. Like this needs to be the type of team that adjusts its shot hierarchy. Regardless of locker room chemistry based on who is performing the best. And 18 shots is not enough for a guy who's 5 for 11 from 3. And a lot of these aren't like wide open corner threes. Like these are contested shots. He's running the pick and roll and taking like shots off the dribble. These aren't wide open shots. Like he needs to be way more involved if he's having nights like this. He's that type of player as well.
Well, to your point, he only took 4 shots in the first quarter, and it wasn't like he was the same all game long. He was consistent all game long. I think he was 3 for 4 in the first quarter for 8 points. I would have liked to seen him shoot more in that quarter just to get the tone started and everything. He did take more shots later on, but I feel like the game was kind of out of reach when probably half the shots he took, the game was out of reach, because there was the point, like key parts in like the third quarter. At that point he was like 6 for 8, 6 for 9, something like that. So yeah, I do agree he needed to get more things ran for him when you notice that he has the hot hand. And also I got to give him a lot of credit because I've kind of been on him a little bit in my previous quick reactions just based on his shot selection, but he does a great job of creating separation, and he didn't really take any shots where I was like today where I was like, whoa, what was that type of thing, where it's like he's kind of, I feel like he's a lot more comfortable in knowing which shot to take. And some of them were open, but some of them he got a little bit of separation off the dribble, and he even had that play just ran there, that beautiful up and under where he faked Gobert and then just went past him. Like, I haven't had a problem with him in his shot selection in quite some time now, and I'm really encouraged by that.
He also I think had his best night playmaking on the season assists wise. I'm not sure on that, but he's probably broken 3 assists. But to me, he had one of his better nights playmaking, and that's been slowly improving. I think that's a step that really takes his team to the next level. That's like a ceiling raising step for this team. If GTJ can be like a consistent pick and roll ball handler, find guys out of the pick and roll, kind of second side pick and roll ball handler, that changes his team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting how Nurse has gone to him in some late game situations, running pick and roll with him. And often I think it's because whenever he runs a pick and roll, everyone assumes he's just going to shoot. So all eyes are on him. And then he has an easy dump over into the dunker spot. And they were getting some good stuff on that. But yeah, you're right about the ceiling. They have to see where his shot making can take them, I think. At some point they're gonna have to run that into the ground to see where does he X out as a guy who can create his own shot, because so far everything they've kind of asked of him, he's been able to create, and he's doing it somewhat efficiently. So I think that eventually more reps are going to be in order, and on nights like this it's fair to ask for that because no one else was shooting really well, and he was. But I do think there's a general hierarchy in place, and the Raptors are never gonna force rush anything. If Trent is gonna be here for the foreseeable future, then I think they'll make it a point to slowly give him more and more reps. But that's just kind of always how it's been run, is just more time here, more reps, unless you're Kawhi Leonard. But yeah, let's get to the film Kyle has, which I believe
it's just one
Scottie Barnes thing.
Prior to this game, I think Nurse had a quote about he wants to see Scottie take 3 or 4 threes a game. Something, I'm paraphrasing, but something of that nature. He wants to see Scottie shoot more. Okay, shoot.
Disappointed. No, he's not.
Yeah. So earlier in this possession, I think we might have missed this. Yeah, we did miss it early in possession, but early in this possession, Gobert is the primary defender, Whiteside's the primary defender on Scottie, and he is sagging 5-6 feet off of him as Scottie has the ball on top of the 3-point arc. That just needs to be a shot. If your coach is in the media telling you shoot that ball, that needs to be a shot. And I think at some point, just trust that 3 enough there. Just take that 3. Look where Whiteside is. I know he hit the shot, and that's great, but at a certain point, your coach is telling you to take more threes. I know this is an analytics nerd thing, but realistically, the shot he ends up taking isn't better. That's a slightly contested shot when he takes this pull-up, whereas he could have had a wide open 3. Just take it. Your coach is in the media telling you take more threes. Please take more threes. How many guys get that sort of treatment from a coach? Hey, please shoot more. Yeah, I know you're a rookie. Shoot more. Just take it, Scottie. Just go for it. I'd love to see that.
we're talking about Scottie, right? This kind of feels like DeMar a few years ago, where it's like, dude, take 4 threes, and then he'd have the defiant three. Oh wait, no, that wasn't a three. His foot was on the line. I just had a DeMar flashback in my head right there.
No, that's true. But yeah, the question was not even about Scottie. I think it was about Cam Birch, and I want to see all those guys take threes. Cam Birch, Precious Achiuwa, Scottie Barnes. Like, the reason it's not just a nerd analytic thing is because we know what happened to Ben Simmons, right? Like, Ben Simmons didn't shoot threes for his whole career. And then when you ask him to in a playoff series in the heat of the moment, he obviously can't. Like, you have to start these things relatively early because it's really hard to get into like a groove of shooting threes when your whole career you've just gotten to the rim and done other things to score. So I think it's important that he starts shooting. Like, I don't think he's going to beat Ben Simmons because he already has a jump shot, like a 13-footer, 15-footer, but it's definitely important for the spacing of the team that he eventually shoot threes. And even Kem Birch and Precious, I want to see all those guys shoot threes because it's not like the offense gets great looks anytime it wants. So if you have an open three, you might as well shoot it.
I don't think you have to tell Precious to shoot threes. He looks like he already wants to.
He'll shoot anything.
Yeah, he already wants.
He's the number one option
there,
as far as he's concerned.
And Kem will take his occasional three, and then for Scottie, it's just he likes his little 15-footer elbow jumper. So eventually, it's just a comfort thing. Just like Nurse asking him to be just more aggressive in general. I feel like that will come within time, but you just have to be a little patient with that one.
There's a great anecdote on the Low Post pod with Mike Schmidt. He's like the draft guy. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but I'm just paraphrasing. Mike Schmidt tells a story about how he was doing a workout, or he spoke to someone who's doing a workout with Scottie, and the workout premise was like, okay, you're going to envision scoring 25 points. So, pretend like go score your 25 points, take like elbow jumper, like a little post turnaround, whatever. And Scottie was having trouble envisioning how he'd score 25. He was like, took some real time to think about it, extra like 5 minutes to think about how he was going to actually score 25. And then he asked, do assists count? Meaning, like, could I, in this fictional 25 scoring scenario, like, could I kick it out to 3 there? Could that be part of 3 of my 25 points? Like, this is the type of guy he is. So it really needs to be drilled into him. Like, just shoot, man. It's fine. It's okay. Like, go score your 25 points. Assists don't count. We're not counting assists. We want you to shoot the ball. And that's something it's weird. You spend careers with some guys, like, trying to get them to have the mentality that Scottie does. Like, you spend entire careers begging and pleading with guys to pass the ball and be a playmaker. And Scottie, it's, you might spend some time doing the opposite. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. I also just noticed this comment, which is, I didn't realize, but yeah, the one game that Siakam rested after he returned, they won that game. So 0 of 7 with him. And like, I've seen a lot of people, I follow pretty rational people on Twitter. So I do think like it is like the rational thing is to give him some time. But at the same time, your max player has to find ways to win you games. As like annoying as that sounds, like a max player tag, it's just like 0 of 7 with him since he's been back. That's pretty. It's a little bit concerning, I will say that. And I mean, okay, maybe he has a few more games before like that excuse is completely unusable, because 7 games like is decent sample size, I think. So maybe he has a few more games, but yeah, he has to find ways to contribute even if like certain things aren't going down. But yeah, before we go, as I continue to highlight some good comments, anything you guys want to say about the game, like concluding thoughts, or anything you guys have to plug, go for it. Now's your chance.
I just wanna do one little stat check on that thing. It's actually 0-5.
Oh, so abstracted perspective. You're booted. You're out of here, man. How dare you?
I hope it doesn't go to 0-7, but Sacramento.
Okay, we'll give him until 7. We'll give him until 7.
Yeah, but no, I don't. Other than that, I just have previews and quick reactions whenever I can on Raptors Republic, so you guys can check that out. but I'll leave the rest to Kyle.
No, I'm same thing. Follow us on Twitter, read our Raptors Public stuff. Producer Don going crazy in the chat. Or you got to handle that.
Oh, don't worry, Don. I'm just getting to it,
Okay.
dude. He doesn't
Yeah.
believe in me. That's the issue. Shout out to Don Yang for producing us, for showing you guys all the video and all the images behind this. We are the wrap up from Raptors Republic. Do us a favor and subscribe to the channel on YouTube, where you'll also be able to find amazing things like Trivia Tuesday, where Kelsey O'Brien, who covers the Raptors 905, has been doing every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Basically Raptors and NBA trivia. It's on YouTube and it's on Twitch Tuesdays at 9 p.m., not a.m. We don't wake up that early. So follow us on YouTube, subscribe, like the video, and you'll be able to be in the loop for all that good content we have going. The Raptors are playing the Sacramento Kings on Saturday night, tomorrow night at 10 a.m. And it's unfortunately come one of those games where you really got to win this one because the Warriors are up next. They're the best team in the league. The Kings are trash every year, and it's a really good opportunity for the Raptors to steal a win on this 6-game road trip. Because none of the other games are going to be as easy as that one. So hopefully they can bounce back. Hopefully Siakam can bounce back, so we don't have to have this dialogue every night. But we will see tomorrow very late at night if everyone can stay up for that one. This has been the wrap up. I'm Oren. We got Kyle and Jamar. Thanks everyone for joining us. Go to sleep because you've done enough torture to yourself watching this team tonight. And good night.